Today News Update.
A warm welcome to your Barbados Today Evening News Update for Wednesday, July 20. So glad you could join us. The United States says Barbados does not fully meet the minimum standards for the elimination of trafficking in persons, but it's making significant efforts to do so. That's according to Washington's 2022 Trafficking in Persons report, in which Barbados gets a rating of Tier 2. The report said the upgrade was based on government's increasing efforts to tackle the problem when compared with the previous reporting period, taking into consideration the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic on its anti-trafficking capacity. It highlighted that local authorities increased investigations, initiating 2 prosecutions for the first time since 2013 and identified a victim for the first time since 2016. The report, however, expressed concern that the government has never secured a trafficking conviction under the Trafficking in Persons Prevention Act. In other news, small hotel operators in Barbados have been unable to meet their debt obligation to the now struggling Small Hotel Investment Fund, SHIF, which was established to provide financing to the sector. Mahmoud Patel, the chairman of the Intimate Hotels of Barbados, which represent just over 40 small hotels, disclosed that some members owe a total of some $40 million to the SHIF, which is managed by the Enterprise Growth Fund Limited. He made the revelation today during the IHB's annual general meeting at the Island Inn Hotel. He says the matter must be addressed.
IHB needs to find a way to have a conversation with the state. How do we fix this? How do we reinvent the fund or recapitalize the fund? Because the majority of the members were paying before COVID. And I think that's something that I would like to throw out there. How do we sit down and fix this problem for IHB members? We need to recapitalize. We need to reinvent our inventory or plan. We have to find a constructive and creative way to get out of this hole. And we are hoping that once the economic analysis is finally completed, that we can have a conversation with EGFL, Ministry of Finance, to maybe find a fiscal space for IHB in the BEST program, and then to, constructively look at our debt challenges. I would like to suggest that maybe we also look at other sources of funding, like equity or sovereign funding, but we have to find a space to renovate and modernize.
Tourism Minister Lisa Cummins, who also attended today's meeting, said the SHIF will be reviewed, and she urged those who benefited from the fund to repay what they owe.
Even if the government were to find the space, the fiscal space to capitalize new funds, including the SHIF fund, there has to also be a responsibility to come from everyone to repay the funds that are made available, so that we are not only benefiting ourselves, but we are allowing and creating space for others who will come behind in those 5 and 7 year intervals, or new entrants into the market to also access those funds. It is simply not acceptable to be able to benefit from funds like SHIF and not repay those funds, because you are damaging the sector that we represent.
Meanwhile, one local small hotelier made a strong case for greater efforts to take the still recovering sector forward. Kasha Haynes told the gathering he's anxious for stakeholders to move past talking and take meaningful action to create change.
I think we are leaving some stuff on the table because we're not picking some low-hanging fruit that's out there to be picked. So just case in point, just 2 things I'd just like to touch on quickly. I'm very impressed with the SHIF fund. At the end of the day, we don't like to, for some reason, we can't really talk about being profitable and making money. But the truth is that without a business, without profit, there's nothing for anyone. Not for the owners, not for the staff, not for the general economy. So we have to focus on profitability. And particularly so, Minister, in our industry, profitability is important in any business. But in our industry, in hotel industry, if we don't make profit, it's over, it's done. Because our industry, every 5, latest 7 years, we're constantly putting in for maintenance, but every 5-7 years, we got to put a lot of capital back in.
In response, Minister Cummins assured government is working to revamp the sector.
It is my commitment, yes, to ensure that the processes are far more efficiently done, because time is money. But at the same time, Prime Minister has made this clear. We all have the combination of rights and responsibilities, access and responsibilities and obligations. So once we make the system easier, because I think that is our responsibility, it is your responsibility to use it responsibly and in the way in which it is intended. And we can commit to making sure that that is done. My hope is that by the end of summer, we should be in a position to have a completely new process in place that makes it easier for both the tourism development legislation as well as the consent provisions to be provided for under the licensing arrangement.
For the second straight day, new COVID-19 infections topped 400. Health authorities reported 411 new COVID-19 cases, 200 males and 211 females, from the 991 tests conducted on Tuesday by the Besta Santos Public Health Laboratory. Of the positive cases, 59 persons were under the age of 18 and 352 were 18 years and older. There were 49 people in isolation facilities, while 2,122 were in home isolation. As of July 19, there were 480 COVID-19 related deaths.
Regional and international news coming up after this short break.
Pure oxygen is way more than just water. We infuse pristine water with over 1 billion tiny oxygen bubbles using our state-of-the-art process. The benefits of additional oxygen are huge, from strengthening your immune system to increasing energy levels, stamina, and sports performance. And that's not all. It also improves skin health, helps you sleep better, and reduces stress. Join the movement of people experiencing the benefits of pure oxygen. It's not hype, it's science.
To regional news, Caribbean countries under the Caribbean Public Health Agency gets high praise for their COVID-19 response from the Centers for Disease Control in Atlanta. The CDC is of the view that countries in this region outperform others that have more resources. Alicia Boucher of TV6 News has the story.
According to team lead of the CDC's Emergency Response and Recovery Branch, Professor Richard Garfield, that was evident during the COVID-19 pandemic in relation to many large first world countries. Dr. Garfield says the opposite is true when it comes to CARFA member states.
I think in CARFA countries, some of the better actions were taken, using resources in a more effective fashion. More generally, a lot of economically advanced countries have many capacities on paper or have the facilities to do things that they don't necessarily use effectively.
The CDC team lead says the Caribbean region was able to do a good job at identifying limitations faced by individual countries and was able to coordinate to maximize limited resources.
I think the strategies and plans that you've had in the past have stood out as being more practical than those from many other regions of the world that we work with from CDC. Your surveillance strategy and your regional strategies from prior to COVID are excellent resources now to look at as you're planning for the future.
The professor states that around 70 countries have a 5-year national action plan pertaining to health security, with the World Health Organization identifying these plans as critical to moving forward.
But many of those plans are not functional plans. To date, many of them are what we would have to call aspirational. And that doesn't innovate action and make a change. You need your goals, and you have goals. So it's good time now to look back at those goals and see how they functioned during COVID and how COVID informs the revision of goals for a 5-year period.
On the international front, a new president will be sworn in Sri Lanka on Thursday. We get the details from Al Jazeera Television.
Inside Sri Lanka's most heavily guarded building, its new president was chosen. MPs cast secret ballots to decide who would succeed Gotabaya Rajapaksa. He fled in a military plane last week after tens of thousands of protesters stormed his official residence. The prospect of Ranil Wickremesinghe succeeding Rajapaksa had caused an outcry from thousands who were demanding that he too step down. But more than half the parliamentarians ignored the protesters' wishes.
The time of being divided is over. We had 48 hours of division. Now I'm asking everyone to get together, to discuss. I'd like to start discussions with all of you from tomorrow.
Many Sri Lankans are angry that a man voted out of parliament in the last election has become president.
He's the defender of the Rajapaksa family. The second reason is he doesn't have a mandate to be a member of parliament at least. So we do not accept his appointment.
Public opinion is opposed to this. We, the trade unions, are opposed to it. The people are opposed to it. We are clearly opposed to Ranil's appointment. This is not the people's will, it's a distortion.
One of the first things Wickramasinghe did was thank the armed forces and police. Hundreds of security personnel secured the parliament complex to ensure Wednesday's vote was not disrupted.
That's news, but for the very latest, visit our website at www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper email updates or like us on Facebook and sign up for our breaking news alerts via WhatsApp. We're also on Azumi minibus terminals as well as screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. You can also hear us on Capital Media HD 99.3 FM.